Good evening, blessings, everybody. This is Apostle Crystal, and I'm excited once again to be here with you. I count it a privilege and an honor to spend this time with the sons of Yah all over the world. Those of you who are watching from wherever you're watching from, it is my pleasure to serve you this afternoon. I'm here with some of the brethren. I got Apostle Ace with me. I've got Dr. Apostle Zipporah Brown with me, and we are here to share some divine conversations with you about Sukkot 5784, Feast of Booths, and the title of this year's, or the theme of this year, Sukkot, is the Ark and the Crown. I am absolutely excited to be here. We are here until the 25th, which is the final day. Really, Sukkot is lasting from the 18th to the 24th, but then you got that extra day, which is Shemini or Azaretz, which is the 8th day. And we're going to have some good conversation on that day as well. But tonight, let's go ahead and dive in to the conversation. There's been so many different challenges and so many different things that have gone on in our midst. I know for myself, it's just been challenges, but in the midst of the challenges, some amazing things have been happening. And we're going to share a little bit about, what this is supposed to look like for the sons right now. We're going to get into that 10-year spread a little bit more, but we've kind of already shared. And if you had ears to hear, you understood that if you miss this round, it's going to be 10 more years. And I've heard the Father say that before, but he brought it up to me again in this time in Sukkot. He said, let them know that this is an hour to step into their identity. It's an hour to step into their authority. It's an hour, it's a time, it's a season to step into authentic identity. And if you refuse to step into this place, it's going to be some time that you're going to spend in that wilderness. It's just what it is. We've seen it over and over again, and this is where we are. We've got to understand, when the Father is saying something to us, the value of what he's speaking, we must understand it, because if we fail to understand authentic identity, how would I be able to understand it? How would I know to understand it, right? Because if you're hearing what he's saying to you, if you're hearing him speak to you, and so we're going to talk a little bit about the speaking too, because brother, there are still, an Apostle Zipporah, there are still a lot of people who are not clear on how to discern the voice of Yah. But somehow they are discerning voices every day and operating. Understand the basic things that you do every day. You've heard something somewhere and you're operating based on what you've heard. When you make that poor decision to step out into something or get involved with something, you heard something. It was internal. So what the Father wants to do is he wants to deal with the internal so he can take us into the eternal place, and we can operate from that divine space throughout the rest of our life, even as we're in the earth. It's not a thing about when you die. It's about right now. When you die to flesh, then you are alive in the spirit, and you're alive in truth to operate on the level that you were formed for, that you were born for. So listen, I'm going to let my brother come on and say good evening to you for a moment, and we're trying to get Apostle Zipporah's line to work. I know she can hear on YouTube, but Apostle Zipporah, when you get ready to respond, you're going to have to mute your YouTube or turn your YouTube down in order to respond when you're ready to respond. So we're figuring out new ways to do this thing that we're doing tonight, just so that there is not a missing voice, just so we can get it done. All right. Apostle Ace is in the
Well,
room.
holy shalom, holy shalom.
Holy shalom, brother. What's going on?
Yeah, yes. I want to just to everyone that is listening to the other apostle support, I believe,
Yes.
and I thank God for you and for those who are listening. And yes, these are great and terrible times, and
Great and terrible.
we're experiencing the great, and I see the terrible.
Yes. Oh my
You
God.
notice I said we're experiencing the great
But we see
and
the terrible.
we see the terrible.
Yeah.
And so, as you were sharing, a couple of things that just really kind of begin to just kind of stand out, and as you were sharing, because we are in We are in this shift. We are in this shift. And
Yes.
so the first thing is I thought about we're dealing with so many challenges, as you say. We
Yes.
are dealing with so many challenges,
Yes.
and we're dealing with the great shift.
Yes.
We see shifts in the middle of a shift, but we see the great shift now. We see the
Yes.
greater shift. And so I thought about the scripture, weeping may endure for a night, but
Come on.
joy come in the morning. Not
Yeah.
today,
Come on.
not today,
In the
but in the
morning.
morning, in the
Yeah.
shift. So the joy has to be in the shift
It
of
has to be.
things,
It
because
has to
that's where the tribulation, that's where we see the challenges in the shift, because it's a shifting, something coming in. It's just like an earthquake. It's
be. Yeah.
chaos. Something
Yes.
coming in, the plates in the earth moving, shifting back and forth, that causes things on the surface to shake, rattle, and roll.
Yes.
If I could use that language, it
Yes,
begins to
sir.
shake, rattle, roll. And so we see that, but the joy of Yah in Yah is our strength. This is
Yes.
where we have to really begin to trust Him, trust His word, as you said, that word, that we know His voice in the middle of the shift. Because
Yes.
that's where our joy in Him, knowing that we shifting out of night into eternal day.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
and,
Absolutely.
and knowing His voice, like He told Moshe, there's not going to be no one like you, but I'm going to raise up someone like you in in the future, that
Come
I'm
on
going to
now.
talk face to face. So that's a different language when we are today. It's with so many challenges and so many voices. How do we know the voice of Yah? It is so important to know His voice, because there are
Mm.
many other voices, many false voices, many
Come on.
voices that can mimic you.
Come on.
So like that's like those actors that can, they can mimic different voices. I forget what you call them, but they can
Yeah.
mimic different voices, and they can, some
Hmm.
of them sound so just like the individual. And if you're
Yes.
not paying attention, you can be fooled. But you got to know the voice. So if we know the voice, because He said, "Listen, my sheep know my voice." So that means that something inside of you have to connect with the voice, the truth that comes
Come on.
inside you. So, like you said, it's coming from the inside out,
Come on.
from the inside out. So, therefore, we got to know His voice,
Yes,
because
sir.
the Maliks know the
Look,
voice. They know the voice of Yah in you when you
that's
speak.
right.
They know His name. They know the voice. And we talked about that foundation, that truth. We come here with righteousness. We come into this
Yes.
earth with righteousness as a spiritual being into the mama's womb. Because
Mm.
we come from Yah. He's that
Come on.
spiritual being that we come from Him. So when we come from Him, we come equipped
Yes.
already. We
That's
just got
it.
to connect with it again. And
Come on.
so many people are looking for truth, but they're trying to find themselves. And so now they're trying
Come
to
on
find
now.
themselves. They're trying to find the water of life. They're
Ah,
trying to find the door. They're trying to find so many things outside of themselves, and the truth is in them. So what Yah is doing is creating the truth to be imparted into them,
come
and
on.
as it's a shift. That the point that David said, "Purge me with hyssop, wash me." So the
Yes.
purging, something coming in, something coming out. That shift. So it's going to create that chaos, because truth. Once truth get in, it's going to connect to
Ah,
the truth.
come on
Then
now.
you begin to know the voice. So we got to be emptied out. If we allow ourselves
Oh
to
my
be
God.
emptied out, then we'll
Okay.
know His voice. Why? Because His voice is already in us.
My God.
And
You
it
know what?
just gets so. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
You know what that brought up? It brought up Psalm
Hmm.
51. You know, David wrote, "Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts,
Ah,
and in the
yes.
hidden part, thou shalt make me to know wisdom."
Hmm.
You said it's already there, and this is what he's desiring. He's desiring what he put there.
Hmm.
But a
Hmm.
lot of times, what he put there has been compromised, and we're gonna talk about it. Go ahead, keep going, cause you on
Yeah.
fire
So.
already. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you keep burning.
No.
Keep burning.
I'm just responding for what you lit. You
I
you
know
lit
how
the
we
fire.
do. I know how we do. I know how we do.
And so that voice, that just like Yah knows his place
Yes.
in us.
Yes, he
And,
does.
and and so that shift, that shifting, the things that's coming out, and people get caught in the shift, because
Yes,
the
they do.
shift, it brings about fear, it brings about all the
Oh
things
my
that
God.
fear brings, they're afraid of, the all those things that has happened in their life, and what have you, because
Oh my
now
God.
Yahweh said he positioned us, he has positioned us by waking us up in the
Yes.
first resurrection.
Hey, come on now.
See, we're the first resurrection. That means we're coming out of a dead place and being awakened. Someone was talking to me earlier about the grave, when the disciple, when Yeshua, when he died on the stake,
Yeah.
and it said there were people coming out of the grave. I said that wasn't a literal grave.
Not
That was
literal.
that was, if you just allow
It
me
was
to
an
use,
awakening.
that was a rapture.
Yes. It
You
was a
that I mean
it
you
was a
yeah,
spiritual rapture. It was an awakening.
anchoring it. Absolutely.
But
Hmm.
the religious industrial complex got folks all messed up
Absolutely.
on
Absolutely.
their scientific sci-fi ideology of things. The Hollywood idea
Yeah.
of what's spoken in the scripture is
Hmm.
more
Hmm.
prevalent in a lot of people's hearts and minds than the truth of what the scripture
Absolutely.
is talking about. You wasn't on
Hmm.
yesterday, but I was talking to them again and giving them a little bit of conversation around that thing that we were talking about in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, where Paul,
Mm.
if you grew up in the church industrial complex, you're thinking that Paul is engaging in a conversation about death, physical, leaving the earth kind of death. But his
Hmm.
conversation wasn't about that.
Mm-mm,
His
mm-mm, mm-mm.
conversation was, listen, do I stay in the position I've been in, or do I ascend into this position that I'm being called to?
Come on now.
He said, listen,
Hmm.
if I
Hmm.
step into this thing, I'm gonna be dismantled, but I'm yearning from the inside out to be clothed with the
Ooh.
thing that I see that's
Hmm.
chasing after me.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
excited to be clothed with this earnest deposit. This, come on now. He said, I'm excited to be clothed and not unclothed with this earnest deposit. This look, this piece of something. Why is he calling it a piece of something? Because he saw prophetically that what he was getting was only a part of something that was to come.
Ooh. Now
And
you
now
know
we
that
have stepped in the to come piece. Okay.
the
We
fullness.
are the sons of to come.
Right,
We are
right,
those
right.
sons.
Exactly.
We say something,
Uh-huh.
brother.
Yeah. So yeah, we have come to pass. We are here. And so what they know in part, they get in part. But when you become a full, you begin to know in full. Because now the glass is full. Now I can see much better. I know more than what I know. So now the latter end of us is greater than the past, because they were in part, they were getting, now we come to the fullness. We come to the fullness of what they are. They understand, they had an envy of seeing where we're at and what to
Yes.
accomplish.
A
They
holy
was like
envy. They did.
a holy, yes, and it
They
was
had
just
a
even to
holy
even
envy.
see
Mm.
that, and it wasn't a bad thing. They were
Oh
just like,
no.
oh my goodness, to see that far ahead where
Yes.
we're at now. And so
Mm.
now the sons, the remnant that he's raising up, the sons that he's raising up now,
Oh my
gathering
God.
together of one mind to walk in that authority, to walk in the clothing that the
Mhm.
Yah from the inside out, because now we're going to make the difference.
Oh
We'll
my
make the
God.
difference and set it up, the
Oh my
kingdom
God.
of Yah. Set
Listen,
it up.
come on. They talk
you
about
know,
set it off. We gonna set it up,
that,
okay?
right, right.
Listen.
Absolutely.
Listen. I heard something so amazing when you were talking about what you were talking about, because you remember that such a holy envy was in Moshe. He wanted to see the glory of Yah. He said, listen,
Yeah.
show me your glory. And so a
Oof.
lot of people think that this term glory is just some ethereal particles in the air. This is the
Mm.
concept or the impression that the religious industrial complex has given people, this pixie dust, this magic thing that's happening. No, but glory is the doings of Yah. It is the actual manifestation of his power. Show me your glory.
Mhm.
Show me the manifestation of your power. Show me who you really are. And what does he do? Yah says, go on over there and I'm going to show you the back end of something. He put him in the cleft of a rock. And a lot of people, because
Mhm.
we so carnal, we're so carnal. People say, oh, Yah showed his butt. He showed his backside. No, it wasn't about his physical body. It wasn't about a physical body. What he did was he showed him what was to come. You're talking
Mhm.
about something that they yearned for, and a lot of them got to have access to what they were yearning
Mhm.
for. Elijah got to have a little
Mhm.
bit of access. Moshe
Mhm.
got to have a little bit of access.
Mhm.
They wound up on the Mount of Transfiguration. So what I heard was, it's not a far-fetched thing for us when we encounter certain people. Like you've heard people say, well, I had an encounter with Moses, or I had an encounter with, one of the other sons.
Mhm.
Maybe it was Elijah. I had an encounter with this one or that one. And so somebody might say, well, that's weird. Like, well, why would that be a thing? Well, it's a thing because in every age, there are encounters with a former age. Why?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
those sons were yearning to look
Mhm.
into this time,
Mhm.
and the Father allowed them access because of
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
relationship to peer into the time that we're in. Where you say, well, how is that? Because this is 2024. That was over 2,000 plus years ago. You know what? There is no time in Yah.
Mhm.
Kairos
Mhm.
is eternal. It doesn't have the boundaries of chronological orders. It doesn't have the boundaries of chronology added to it. So this is why he's
Mhm.
desiring us to step over into this
Mhm.
space
Mhm.
called Kairos, because it's going to put
Mhm.
us in the future of things. And this is one of
Mhm.
the ways I'm about to prophesy to you now. I'm about to prophesy. Here we go. This is one of the ways, this is one of the vehicles. This is why prayer, this is why intercession, this is why that fellowship and that communion with the brethren is so important, because this is one of the ways that the Father's going to give witty inventions. Can I give you a secret? Y'all want this secret? Put yes in the comment. I'm going to give you a secret. This is one of the ways that witty inventions and secrets become a reality, because just like the Father reveals to his children, so does the adversary reveal to his.
Oh my, that's it. That yeah. So,
Just like
before
the Father is revealing secrets, so does the adversary. Let me give you an example of some secrets that were revealed, since you don't believe me. You say, I don't believe that. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it then. So here we are. We're in Genesis chapter 6, right? We're in Genesis
Mhm.
chapter 6, and the watchers, and we're not going to get into who they are tonight because that'll take us in a whole nother direction. But the watchers, listen here, the watchers are on the earth, right? And
Mhm. Mhm.
they've been given an assignment to watch over us, to watch over
Mhm.
humankind. This is the Malik. This is that whole concept of what the Malik's responsibility is. This is that whole concept. And when I'm talking about the Malik, I'm talking about angel. And the reason why I'm
Mhm.
using Malik or the Malik instead of the angel is because most people's concept of an angel is a little fat baby with wings. I rebuke it. That ain't got
Hollywood.
nothing to do with the kingdom of Yah. It has nothing, and angels don't have wings. Uh-oh, I just blew somebody's whole brain out the back of their head. Angels don't have wings.
Ooh-wee.
We're gonna deal with these ideas, because if we don't deal with these ideas, then people are gonna be lost. They're gonna miss a whole lot of stuff, and they're not gonna be benefactors of the inheritance. They're not gonna be a part of what the Father really desires to do in his people in the earth. So listen to this. They don't have wings, y'all. So we've got to position ourselves. We got to position ourselves to really hear what the Father is saying so we can see what he's doing. But this is the thing. He's going to allow us access. This is how you're going to get the vision. This is where witty inventions come from. This is where all these things come from. So let me go back to what I was going to do, which is show you. So the watchers are here. They're supposed to be, you say, well, were they supposed to be here? Absolutely. They were supposed to be here because they were supposed to be watching the creation. They were supposed to be watching. See, there are different levels of things, right? It's those that are in the
Mhm.
earth, that
Mhm.
are assigned to the earth to as kingdom citizens to have dominion over it. And then there are the watchers that are there to make sure that we're operating in the manner that we should be operating. And when we're not, there's some things that kind of nudge us in another direction. It's that kind of a prodding or moving us into a direction, right? So here they
Mhm.
are. They're supposed to be watching, and they decide they want to change the plan.
Mhm.
They see the women, right? And they
Mhm.
begin to pick the women as wives. They choose them as wives. And That's a whole
Mhm.
conversation too, because we got marriage or that concept of covenant all messed up, because when that conjugation happens is when the marriage happened. That's why the father could
Mhm.
say to the woman at the well, you've had many husbands, and ain't none of them the
Mhm.
one that's supposed to be for you. So that's a whole nother conversation too. But here they are, they've chosen these women, and the word declares that they begin to teach the women about plants and about
Mhm.
all of these different things. Now, is it a bad
Mhm.
thing to know about plants? Absolutely not, because I deal with natural things as well. I know about
Mhm.
plants, I know about what to put together and how to put it together. I'm anointed to do that. But they taught them
Mhm.
from a perspective, a diabolic perspective, which allowed them to use the cuttings and the roots and all of this stuff for magical purposes.
Mhm.
Now, is it
Mhm.
it is of the same thing, but it's not the same nature. I'm gonna be very clear
Mhm.
with you. This is of the same thing, but it's not of the same nature. Okay? Because when you're dealing in magic, you're dealing with the people who are utilizing the power that's been invested in them by Yah. Yah invested
Mhm.
something in the sons, right? He's given
Mhm.
something to us, but most people don't even ever tap into what they've been given. But here you got
Mhm.
people that are being maneuvered and managed by diabolic nature, and they are utilizing what's been given them, but they're using it for different purposes.
Mhm.
Okay?
Woo-hoo.
So
Mhm.
so here we go. They begin to teach them something. It's
Mhm.
the same authority, the same way that this works by the authority of Yah, that when we are connecting properly with Him, that He begins to reveal things to us. People get stuck, brother. They get stuck
Mhm. Mhm.
in one way
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
thinking, in one idea, in one way of doing the thing. When the Father said, "No, you are multifaceted being." Is there an
Mhm.
end to
Mhm.
Yah? Then how can there be an end to you?
Mhm. Mhm. Oh my.
That's
Oh
the
my.
Elder Vicky witchcraft. There is no end. Go ahead, brother. I know you want to say something.
Ooh, I want to holler.
I know you want to holler. Go ahead and holler, brother.
Listen, listen. You know, just going back to we talk about they taught them how to plant. So
Yep.
so there was Eden.
Yep.
Then there was the garden in Eden. There were two gardens.
Mm-hmm.
The garden of in Eden, and there were gardens out of Eden. When
Mm-hmm.
disobedience came in, because beforehand, when they was in the garden,
Y'all
he
planted that.
everything, if y'all planted that, everything was there planted was righteous,
It was
clean.
perfect.
Then when unrighteousness prevailed through disobedience, then now he says, now you got to go out. So you got these watchers now
Mm-hmm.
is now teaching
Mm,
how to use the plants outside the garden, mix it with the plants in the garden
mm.
to bring about death. To bring about death, the mixing and the eating. So now the you as Prophet Vicky said, witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
Absolutely. So you got these watchers. So now, what's interesting when you talk about the Maliks, there's the scripture, and we went over it in Hebrews chapter 1, verse
Absolutely.
13 to verse 13 to 14. To but right, but to which the Malikams has ever said, sit at my right side, right my right hand, until I make your enemies your footstool. No, but verse 14. Are the Malikams are not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister to
Uh-huh.
those who will be and who will inherit who are heirs of salvation. So they
Ah,
are watchers.
they're
They
servants.
that's what they do.
They serve.
That's what they and so now, as you stated, they something went wrong because
Yeah.
they began to get authority. They're gonna do something on their own because they
Uh-oh.
saw the power of manipulate witchcraft to
Yeah.
do these things. How they can move and maneuver to do things in the earth. So it's interesting because as you were saying, go even looking in Acts chapter
Yep.
2, because
Yep.
Yah said, okay, now Acts chapter 2, verse 16, he said,
Uh-huh.
but this is the beginning of that which that the prophet Yoel, verse 17, and it come to pass in the last days, Yah, says Yah, I
We'll
will
pour
pour
out.
out
Come on.
my spirit upon all flesh.
Oh
So
my.
that all flesh, whether you're righteous or
Or
unrighteous.
unrighteous.
Huh? And your sons and daughters will prophesy. They will,
Yep.
your young men will see visions, and the old men will dream dreams. Here's verse 18. Yes, my servants,
My servant.
and on my handmaidens I will pour out my spirit in those days, and they will prophesy.
Ah, come on. Because
So
there's got to be an answer to what darkness is doing, and light is the
come
answer.
on, there it is. There it is. So they will, the Yahweh's prophets, the sons will hear some totally different. We talked about that. But what is going to be said? Light overcome darkness.
Yeah.
Light overcome darkness. And so now, hearing the voice of Yah, to know the voice of Yah. See, to know the voice of Yah is going to be totally different than the prophets of Baal, the things that's being,
Totally different.
see, Yah pouring his spirit out on all flesh. Everybody, a lot of people dream and dream.
Uh-huh.
Folks are prophesying left and right.
Oh, absolutely.
All around the world. We could know that on a media platform. People
Yes.
around the world are prophesying.
Yes.
They well, and to think about, okay, they prophesy. Okay, it's not doing that. It's bringing death.
It's
It's
bringing death.
prophesying death. And people are not getting nothing. But people are looking for the truth. People are
Yes.
looking for the truth, and so as they try to look for the truth now, because they're awake, there's a great awakening, a great revive.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Hmm.
revival as church do it, but revive my soul again. Y'all say, I'm
Yes.
gonna wake you up. I'm gonna bring you to cause you to come out the grave.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
shake
cause you
you.
to. I'm gonna shake you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna do it in such a way that you gonna know that who I am and who my
Undeniable.
prophets are, because there's a prophets of Baal
Yeah.
that now they trying hard. They're
Hmm.
scuffling. They're trying
Oh,
hard
they are grasping for straws at this point.
yeah, oh, come on now.
They grasping for straws. Check this out. Y'all, we talk about it all the time. Here's an example of what we're talking about. It's a biblical example. When Moshe goes to Egypt, right? One of the
Mm-hmm,
first things that the father tells him, instructs him to do, he's already given him the training that's necessary. We still on the introduction, y'all. He's already given him the training for what he's going to do. And he gets there and something takes place, something transpires. He wasn't told that when he get there. Now understand, he came out of Egypt, so he knows what he's getting ready to face. Let's say that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Because I don't want you to think he
mm-hmm,
was ignorant of what he was getting ready to face. Because he came out of this house. He came out of the great house. So this was
mm-hmm,
what the challenge was going back, because he was like, how am I gonna talk to the house that raised me? Y'all think
mm-hmm,
stuttering,
mm-hmm,
or you think that this issue with his mouth or his tongue has something to do with him stuttering. It never had anything to do with that.
mm-hmm,
Until you
mm-hmm,
have dealt with or been used to deal with a space that you came out of, you don't even understand what he was dealing with. You don't
mm-hmm,
even understand what he was confronted with until you yourself have dealt with a challenge in your own household or something that raised you, and you got to now speak truth to that power. You have no clue.
ah,
You have no clue. He
ooh,
didn't stutter. He was raised in a royal space. You understand what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? He was raised in a royal space, and this royal space taught him everything. Do you think that if he had a stammering tongue, they couldn't have gave him a speech therapist?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. That's right. Ooh-wee.
Did, I made that a sea lie. Do you think that they wouldn't have been able to give him the best of everything they did? They gave him the best of education. He learned the ways of Egypt. He learned the craft of Egypt. Uh-oh, we just stepped into something. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Wait a minute. He learned everything about them. They taught him everything. So he knew that he was stepping back into a space, which was what his apprehension was about. But look
mm-hmm,
at how the
mm-hmm.
father dealt with him. before the burning bush, right? We
Mm.
still talking about the Ark and the Crown, y'all. This royal thing is important. Look how he dealt with it. Because he knew where he was taking him, he provided, made sure that he provided the divine application of the gifting. He
Mhm,
shifted
mhm,
him from what he had learned into a divine space to operate on an eternal plane,
mhm, mhm,
not an earth plane, not a diabolic
mhm,
plane, but he shifted him to a divine space to operate from an eternal plane when he got back. He
mhm,
showed him, he said, put your hand in your coat, Moses. And we know
mhm,
that the powers that think they be, some of those secret agencies use these kinds of things. This is what I'm talking about. They use these
mhm,
kinds of things to implicate other things when this was originally how the Father dealt
mhm,
with Moshe to deal with some things that he was going to be facing. So understand you've been
mhm.
equipped with everything you need to face what you're facing. Okay, listen. He said, put your hand in your coat, Moses. Moshe put his hand in his coat. He said, now pull it out. He pulled it out. It was leprous.
Mm.
If you're not careful, that sounds like magic, don't it? If you're ignorant of
Mhm.
the operation and where all of it comes from, where all of it originates from, then you'll say or you'll mark it as magic, but it wasn't magic. It was divine operations of
Mhm,
the kingdom.
mhm, mhm.
Okay. He said, put it back in your coat. He put it back in his coat, took it out, and his hand was
Yeah,
clean.
yeah, yeah,
He said,
yeah.
okay, the rod you got in your hand, this is a rod. This staff that he's using to manage the sheep, right? To manage. See how he's given a grace and an anointing to do something that he's about to be sent to do. He's already doing it.
Mhm,
He started doing it before he left Egypt because he stood up for his
mhm,
people. And he had to
mhm,
run because he killed an Egyptian, right?
mhm,
But
mhm.
he says, throw the rod on the ground. He throws the rod on the ground, it turns into the snake, it turns into a serpent, and Moses runs. Father said, whoa, 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 no, brother, don't run. No, son.
Mhm,
Go back
mhm,
and pick it
mhm,
up. He said,
mhm.
don't run from the thing. Oh my God. This is not the plan. This was not the plan. Do you hear what I'm saying? This was this was not in the plan at all. He took us into a space for real. He said, don't run from what I originated for you.
Ooh.
Oh my
Ooh.
God. He said, don't run
Ooh.
from it. No, no, no.
Ooh.
I'm gonna need you to pick up.
Ooh.
I'm gonna need you to pick that up.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because this is an authority that I have given to my sons. It's
Uh-huh.
not something for you to be afraid of. It's something for you to walk into. But you have to be connected to me in order for the divinity of what you're doing to be the expression.
Oh my. Oh my.
Oh my
Oh my.
God. This ain't the plan. This wasn't the plan. I'm telling you right now. But the Father wants to activate his sons to understand you're going to be challenged with some things, you're going to be facing some things, but you got to be able to have an answer. And when I say answer, that's just about your words. It's about your actions. It's about your movement. It's about how you move
Mhm,
or how you
mhm,
don't move.
mhm,
It's about all
mhm,
of it.
mhm, mhm.
It's
Oh
about
my.
every part of it. Do you
Oh
hear what
my.
I'm saying? And
Yeah.
understanding that how I am moving and how I am operating is under the divine operation, under the divine governance of my King.
Mm, 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 mm.
Do you know that? And this is why diabolic nature uses certain people. You notice that they love Solomon, they love David, they love
Mhm, mhm,
Moshe.
mhm.
They love to utilize those individuals because they are a few that had exhibited such great authority, such great power, and they want to bastardize. They want to prostitute that power
Mhm, mhm,
for the
mhm,
purposes of
mhm,
their rebellion and disobedience to Yah.
mhm,
They
mhm,
want to
mhm,
prostitute it because you got to
mhm.
understand. I'm going to say this because it's so important that we understand that the Father is shifting even how we worship. You know that was a problem that the Master had with the woman at the well. We're still living in that time where people think that worship is what they're doing, and he's like, nah, that ain't it. Nah, that ain't it. No, I know that's what your forefathers told you. I know that's what you think it is, but no, that ain't what the Father's looking for. Now he's seeking such that will worship him in the spirit of truth, in spirit and in truth. The spirit of truth. The spirit of truth is not a space. It's not just a location, a physical location. It's a spirit. It's a spiritual location inside of you.
Mm, mm,
You
mm, mm.
understand what I'm saying?
Ooh, ooh,
This is
ooh.
so important that we get
Mm,
this because This is why
mm,
worship is not moving anything. This is why,
mm,
you know, what we're calling worship is not breaking any yokes. This is why what we call worship in the church industrial complex is just sounds that people are frustrated with and on their phones in the sanctuary.
mm, 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 mm.
Because if it were authentic worship, then things would begin to move. See, I know that I am operating as I need to operate when somebody walks up to me and says, I broke free today. Yeah. I don't even remember what you were singing, but when your voice began to move, the chains began to fall off. And I've not
Mm,
danced like that in a long
mhm,
time. There was a freedom that came. That's how we operate. We know that the Father is using us as a vehicle to do something on his behalf when we see the results, when we hear of the fruit that comes out of that. I'm not just talking about people falling out either, because
mhm,
you can be in a
mhm,
space where people are just mimicking and imitating something that they see that doesn't signify anything. It's about the fruit, not the
mhm,
fall.
mhm, mhm,
Hello?
mhm. Yes,
It's
sir.
about the fruit, not the fall.
Mhm, mhm.
So listen, we're gonna jump into something. We're gonna jump into something because we ain't even started yet. We started, but we ain't started. Father taking us on a whole nother journey. Now he's backtracking. He said, okay, now you can go to that. But I hope you heard what he said tonight. I hope you heard some of the things that have already been discussed tonight. Because listen, he's like, listen, uh, there's some things that are just your inheritance. And other people are utilizing your inheritance and twisting the inheritance and manifesting something opposite of what I designed, and they're using it against other people.
Mhm, mhm.
Do you know that this space of divinity and eternality was never to make people subjects to us?
Mhm,
It was never
mhm,
to make
mhm.
subjects. However, the separation that the Father did with those he chose allowed other people to come into that space, which this overthrows all of the identity of religion. All of it overthrows it. But the thing that when they allowed them to come in, they allowed them to come in because they desired to believe as they believed, to walk as they walked, to serve as they served. The same God, not a different one. Hello. Oh,
Mhm,
blessings to you,
mhm.
AK. Great to have you here tonight. They wanted to serve as the people served because they had an identity on the God that they were serving by the fruit that they were bearing. Oh my God. So we still talking about the Ark and the Crown. All of this got to do with Sukkot and those feasts and the Feast of Booths and the Feast of Tabernacles, the different names of Sukkot. But the reality is that this is a calling into a space. And when we talk about the chaos and the uncomfortability that we have experienced in this season and in this former season, it was about us understanding that we have to identify Yah in that uncomfortable place and find the grace to move through it to get to the destined place, right? So now we celebrate Sukkot, which is these booths that the children of Israel made when they came into the wilderness. But guess what? When they came into the wilderness, they came out of captivity. So you say, well, it was a hut, it was a booth, you know, all of these different trees and branches and stuff put together to make sure that they had a remembrance of coming out of that space. That's the remembrance of it. But it doesn't seem like a comfortable space. But guess what? When you realize that you can find Yah in the most uncomfortable place, and you can be in that space, but be in a whole nother space, you can live from that eternal place while you're in a space. Oh, that's a whole nother. That's a game changer. That's
Mhm,
a game
mhm.
changer. Do you hear me? When you can be in a place that's uncomfortable and begin to make it work for you because you identify that this uncomfortability is not about something that's going to bring me down or kill me or take me out. It's about me changing. I always say this, the challenge is to change you. It's not to destroy you.
Mhm, mhm.
It's to change you. So we celebrate the fact that they came out of their captivity and they lived in these booths, these temporary dwelling places. And as we talked about Paul, brother, we talked about the temporality that he was discussing. Do I stay in this temporality or do I get into eternity? Not about dying,
Mhm,
but it's about what I'm clothed with. What kind of
mhm.
clothing am I going to wear? right?
mhm,
What am I going to
mhm,
put on? How am I going to live out the rest of my days? Am I going to live in this temporal space where, there's a decay that happens? Or am I going to step into the eternal space where there is no decay and I can just operate the divine principles of Yah everywhere I go?
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Say something, brother, and then I'm gonna step into this thing that we need to step into further.
It's interesting because as you left off with Moshe, and it's something that and how you said he was raised up in royalty. He was born as a Hebrew, but raised up in royalty and understood everything about royalty. He understood that. He knew the benefits of royalty and everything. But when he left out of Egypt, the setup, because of protecting of his people, the setup, he left as royalty, flesh. He left as a person of royalty, and he went out. He went out into a space for 40 years. And as you were saying, that to prepare him to come back, there's certain things that he encountered Yahweh in the mountains. He encountered hearing Yahweh's voice. He encountered the burning bush. These things that he encountered, these spiritual divine events. Now he said, "Now I'm bringing your royalty, but I'm sending you out, you as royalty. But when you go back, you come as divine spiritual royalty. You got to go back as immortal because you got to experience some things that is supersede over the things that you learn where you come from. All
Oh
the
my.
magic, all the things that you heard. Now you know who I am, but when you go back, and I know when you go back, you're immortal, but the body the flesh still got to get adjusted because now you're going to see some things that overcome the things that in where you were raised up as. You went out as a royal of the flesh, royal priesthood of the royalty, but you got to go back divinely as a royal priest. That means everything about you has changed.
Oh my
Everything
God.
about you has changed when you go back. Because now, so this is what Yahweh's doing. As you talking about, we're talking about Sukkot. Now they came out and he said, "This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna build the booths and all like this and everything." And so you in this house, you're in this tabernacle, you're in this space, So that means here's all this thing in the natural that you're gonna see. But I'm gonna take you from where you were, a place a best land in Egypt, because when you came into Egypt, the first Pharaoh gave you the best land based upon the
Yes.
dreams of Joseph. And so the family came in 70 strong. Now I'm getting ready to shift you out over 1 million strong. So now I'm gonna have you to clean up your houses. I'm gonna have you to clean up your houses before you leave, because you're not gonna leave the house in a mess. So we're gonna
Uh-oh.
have feast of unleavened bread. We're gonna get everything that's out of this, because you're gonna learn a lesson in the wilderness about the house. Because we're going to
Oh
transfer it
my.
from the physical house to a makeshift house so that you can move, and so that we're going to move this from the physical into the spiritual house. But I'm
My
bringing
God.
you back. I'm going to circle you back to where you begin, because you got to be in a space where when you go back, y'all sending us back to spaces where we people know us, but when we come back not as flesh or human. We come back is immortal. We come back and they're going to
Oh
begin to
God.
see the power and the work of Yahweh in this vessel, in this tabernacle, now that we're in, because now, as you stated, it's a divine clothing. My clothing is glory.
Yes.
That my clothing is my fire, I'm fire. I am a consuming fire. If
I'm one.
they got magic to use to pervert it. But now I come back and I overcome your magic because everything you got from Yah, so I've overcome you. Now you're my footstool. So
Period.
so here is this house, and this is a message everybody because people are stuck under the Levitical under that Levitical thing that they did all of this, and Yahweh used the physical to shift into the spiritual,
Yes.
and so said now you are a royal priesthood. People don't understand that because they stuck trying to be behind the veil. There's no glory behind the veil.
Come on now.
There's no glory. And so Yahweh, I seek for such worshipers to worship me in spirit and truth. So understand the glory is not there. So Yahweh said, I need a resident. I need a spiritual
I need a
tabernacle so
vessel.
I can dwell in. So
Come on.
in Chronicles, he said, if my people, which are called by my name, will
Yes.
humble themselves and pray, seek my face, then he said, I himself will hear from heaven. Where? In you. So
In you.
if I can hear heaven in you, I'm going to come and reside. And when I come and reside, I'm going to heal the land.
Come on now. Come on. Come on.
You see, that priesthood, that the royal priesthood, that we come into a divine place. What Yah is doing now, because he said, now you're going back, but they got to see a different you. They got to see an immortal you. They got to see they got to see that all the stuff that's happening doesn't affect you.
Come on. Come on.
Anything that has been released in the atmosphere, released by man, does not affect you because you're immortal. You're immortal. Your clothing is glory. Going back to a beginning in the garden, now you're eating good food again.
Come on.
And you're going to serve you're gonna serve good food because people get tired of eating. You know, people they eat and eat and eat. They eat so much sweet thing that they got a spiritual sugar coma, and they eat the same old warmed over, and nothing's not helping them. They become they malnutrition. They don't have they dehydrated and everything. And
Oh
so
my
what
God.
they've been getting is it's been a mixture. It's been a mixture, and so therefore, y'all say I'm establishing my garden again. I'm bringing you back. So when you come back, you're not going to come back as a human. You're coming back as an immortal.
Come on now. Because there's a transition. And
Mhm.
this is the thing that people don't understand. I see that adversary, he really want to interrupt. He did all kind of stuff while you was talking. It was oops. It's reconnecting. He just did all kind of stuff.
Oh,
But I'm gonna mute your line for a moment because it's doing that frequency thing that it was doing the other day, and we ain't gonna allow that to overshadow what we're doing right now. But it's such a powerful position that we're in, and it's so amazing that you mentioned that because that's exactly what the Father is doing. But if we don't see it right, then we won't say it right, and if we don't say it right, then we're giving the adversary an opening to deal with us. We're giving him an opening, but when we see the adversary working on other people or through other people, and we are taking on that what people call the high road, that's really just divinity. That's really just eternality. That's really just our immortality, the clothing that we have on, responding to whatever that is. And it's not the way that they expect you to respond. It's absolutely not the way that they're expecting you to respond. But they are able to see, even if they never acknowledge that this is what they see, they are seeing it. They are seeing the glory of Yah. They're seeing it in your response. They're seeing it in how you carry yourself. And sometimes when you're carrying yourself, sometimes you're separating yourself. You understand? You're not even engaging in certain things because you don't want it to come across as we're connecting on this. No. I love you. I'm connected to you. I'm going to show you that I love you. However, I ain't got nothing to do with none of that you got going on. I'm over here. You're over there. So understand. This is so important, what you're saying, brother. The fact that we must realize that this royal priesthood is not the Levitical priesthood. So I had a guy come on or a woman come on last night. They were trying to explain to me something about we can't celebrate none of this until we get back to our land. Guess what? I've never lived there. Hello? I've never lived there. This is a memorial of what the Father has done for the sons. I can certainly do a memorial wherever I am, just like diabolic people set up their memorials. And wasn't that a thing in the scripture where he had to keep telling them to tear down the high places? What were these high places? They were memorials. They were altars. They were spaces that were created to commemorate the God that they wanted to worship. It gave life to the God. It gave movement and life to the God that they wanted to create, because he wanted to have a space to utilize the people for his purposes. So I don't need to go to any space particularly to do what I'm doing. Now, I would love, absolutely love, to come together at some point, man. I promise you, I've been planning it for over a year. And I'm like, Father, when? I wanted it to be this year, but the Father had different plans. I want us to be able to come together as a people and share these things face to face, and allow questions to be asked and all of that, and really just share in this time. However, we're going to do what we got to do, because we're going to obey the word, whether we are together or virtual, because this is a congregation. We are connected. We have gathered. We're not forsaking the assembly. We are assembled right now. All right. So whatever that looks like, we're going to follow the instructions of our King to assemble and to share and to release the prophetic word of Yah over the people of Yah, so that you are awakened to what he desires to do. I see my sister, Prophet Marilyn Mendoza, on. Love you so much. So go ahead and say something, brother. I know you want to say something to that. Are you there? All right, let's jump into this while he is getting his microphone.
I'm back, because you
Okay.
muted it and I muted
Okay.
myself. Yeah.
You was double muted.
I was really silent.
Now it act like it want to work. You see this? You see how, so these are perfect examples, though, for real, of how we got to maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we start talking about certain things on a certain level, there is a desire to interrupt the frequency, because it becomes a distraction. And that's why I mute the line, because I don't want this adversary that desires to interrupt the frequency of what's being released to be able to create a noise on the line that keeps you from hearing. You know, frequency matters. You know, frequency matters. And if you put the word of Yah on, but you put a buzzing sound over that word, people turning that off. They can't sit through it, because the frequency of what's trying to overpower, blessings to you, AK, the frequency of what's trying to overpower that word is tormenting to the ear. It's challenging the hearing. So it becomes a nuisance instead of a blessing. And so that's what the adversary seeks to do. But you see, we both on here at the same time, and you don't hear that anymore.
Right.
I see you, J. Clark 24. Listen, okay, so I'm going to read this. We are born into royalty. We're born into royalty. And you talked about this from the beginning. It has to be fortified. Absolutely. We're born into royalty. Each of us destined to carry the weight of a crown of divine inheritance that's been bestowed upon us by Yah. And I'm going to go back to frequency for a minute, because it's such a powerful movement that the Father desires to do through the sons. You got to understand that you are the divine frequency of Yah. So when you open your mouth, it is a challenge to darkness already. It's absolutely a challenge. So what does the adversary desire to do? He desires to shut you up. And if he's not going to shut you up, he's going to contaminate the message that's in your mouth, so that when you speak, you're not speaking from the divine frequency that you need to speak from, in order to shift things, in order to affect or impact things around you. So here we are. Royalty is not merely about privilege or status, though. Because, you know, when we hear royalty, we think of the privilege and status, and that's a part of it. And we'll get into that a little bit, but it's not just about that. One of the reasons why the Father wanted me to talk to you about this is because he is moving us into this place of royalty, of us understanding our divine royal position. But it's not just so you can have all the stuff. I'm not saying he's not going to give it to you. He is. He is going to give it to you, but that's what all the testing has been about. You had to get in a position and be proven through the fire to be the weight that you need to be in gold or diamonds or whatever it is that's being presented at the time of you know, about the frequency of who you are. because you know all of those things have frequencies too. And this is why people always take crystals and they're trying to utilize the crystals for power or whatever they're trying, with that. Well, they're not wrong about the fact that it has power, that it has some kind of frequency to it, but they are not acknowledging the God of the creation of the things that they are trying to give themselves to. And it's a whole lot involved there. I'm not going to go too far into that because we're not going to teach on it tonight, but we will. To reign in the kingdom of Yah is not simply to sit on a throne, but to navigate the complexities of life with wisdom, with strength, and intentionality. Oh my God, everybody wants the throne, but they don't want the wisdom. They don't want the strength that it takes to run a kingdom or the intentionality. You can't be out of control running a kingdom. And each of us as sons are royalty, are kings and priests or kingly priests that have responsibilities. But if you are out of control and you are not operating according to the divine originality that the Father created you in, then you are not fit to run the kingdom. You're not fit to operate. So for every son of Yah, or that includes daughters, so it is non-gender specific. For every son of Yah, the journey to their divine destination involves a process, and people hate the word process. Let me tell you something. I hated the word process, but I began to hate the word process when he actually he began to call me into this apostleship, right? And I began to become awakened on a certain level, okay? And when this awakening began to take place, that process began to rub me the wrong way, because now I was identifying that it was a process. But what I was dealing with was the fact that I had been processed, or the things that had dealt with me were part of my process. And I hated what dealt with me. I hated how I was dealt with. I hated the things. And the Father said, no, this is a part of the process. So now, like Moshe, I had to put my hand in my coat and take it out. I had to throw the rod down and run from it and go back and get it, because he said, no. This is all a part of what I am causing you to become. Okay, it's a divine destination, but it does, and there are divine destinations. Let me be clear. It's not just an arriving at one space, because again, you're multidimensional because of what you come out of. You are sons of Yah. So because there is no limitation on him, there's no limitation on you, except for the limitations that you put on you because you don't understand who you are. A passage through seasons of challenge, growth, and refinement. So we got this wisdom, strength, and intentionality, which is a responsibility of the kingship. But the process is about passaging through seasons of challenge, growth, and refinement. Did you hear that? I know you got something to say, brother.
Well, in that, it's just interesting that when we was on, I wasn't on yesterday, but the day before, and we was talking about don't run from the storm. He was talking about that. You were talking about don't run from the storm. But you got to be able to ride the storm, deal with the storm. You got to be able to deal with this storm, because most people run from the storm when things are happening. And so you got, here's this revelation, here's this insight, here's this wisdom. Don't run from the storm, because who you are, you have master over the wind. And it's interesting. And it's interesting when we begin to learn how to see. We go through that process to bring us how to master what we're created with.
Come on.
And it's just like when I look at a surfer, in the water out there in the ocean or the sea, and the water with the waves. And I used to, back in the day, I said, oh, I want to be able to do that. But when you see those waves coming, believe it or not, there are men, when they have these storms, or when a hurricane does not have hit land, but what do you see? You see the prelude of the storm with the waves. The waves are starting to swell. And these guys now, they want to ride the wave. But a lot of them, in the beginning, they don't know how to ride the wave. They don't know how to ride the chaos. They don't. So they begin to
They don't.
master the wave and the chaos. And when you master that wave and you surf it, it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful
He said,
thing.
"Wow, look at that! This wave is 20 feet high, and look at it. It looked like it's gonna
Oh my
cover.
God.
It looked like it's gonna swell or overcome him, but he comes out as pure gold, untouched or
Oh, come
hurt."
on. Come on.
So
Come on.
we're learning to master in the process, learning to master who we are. Because if we can't
Mm.
master who we are, then we can't even gather the land that Yahweh says you're gonna get.
Oh
You
my God.
cannot.
We can't
You
acquisition
can't.
nothing.
You can't acquisition that. It won't happen because we have not mastered the storm. We run from the storm. We see the wave. We see the enemy comes in like a flood,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't lift up a standard.
Mm-mm. We run.
You know, we run.
Yeah. But see, people don't
We run
understand the
from.
whole concept. They don't understand, brother,
Hmm.
the whole concept of what it means to lift up a standard. See, because
Right.
the religious idea about things is so convoluted that they don't understand
Hmm.
that to lift up a standard, the Father lifting up a standard, you are the standard.
It, co-
It
there it
says that
is.
the Father will lift up a standard against the enemy. You, as a son of Yah, are that standard.
Absolutely.
You remember
Absolutely.
Job? Job was a standard. That's why the
Hmm.
Father had him in mind and said, "Hey, have you considered my servant Job?" You say, "Well, why would the Father pick a fight with the adversary with Job?" Because he believed in what he put in him.
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
knew
Hmm.
the relationship,
Hmm.
and he
Hmm.
also let me say this because I know a lot of people be confused about Job's situation. He also desired to shift him. He created a storm that shifted him out of the former conditions
Hmm. Hmm.
into new conditions. So you say, what were the former conditions? Well, he had these wild children
Hmm.
that came out of this crazy woman
Hmm.
that wanted him to curse Yah and die
Hmm.
because she didn't know how to live without her wealth or her
Hmm.
children or all the accoutrements of life,
Hmm.
which meant
Hmm.
she didn't really have the relationship. Now, it never says that he got rid of his wife, which must
Never.
mean that on the other side they had more children and she had got herself together.
She became a
But that
better
first
expression.
batch of children put him in a place of such stress that he was starting to do stuff outside of the will of Yah. You say, well, what was that? He was creating altars. He was sacrificing for things that they might have done. He was nervous. He said, I don't know what they got going on. So I'm just gonna throw this sacrifice in there because they
Hmm.
might be over there wilding out. So let me just do this because he was trying to do a thing according to a thing that it wasn't supposed to be operated that way.
Hmm.
So the Father
Hmm.
said, I'm gonna have to move this stuff because this is
Hmm.
my guy. He functions
Hmm.
on a certain frequency. He functions on a divine frequency. I can't let what came out of his loins destroy him
Hmm. Hmm.
and destroy the relationship that we have. So I'm going to allow
Hmm.
this storm to happen so that when he comes out on the other side, the thing that was dragging him into another space can now no longer be there so he can be in the space that I'm calling him to.
Hmm.
And when
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
restore him, I'm going to restore him in such a way that people have to put their hand over their mouth. I'm about to prophesy
Hmm.
again. This is the season that the people and the individuals and experiences or doors that were formerly closed in your face are going to have to put their hands over their mouth because of the thing that the Father is about to do in the sons in this very hour. I'm not talking about 10 years from now. I'm talking about we're in the 7th month right now. I'm talking about even before we get to Passover 5785. The
Hmm.
things that the Father is doing, I should say that he's revealing. We see how we got to even change the language because the Father ain't
Hmm.
doing nothing else. He had already done what he gonna do. We the ones that got to step into what he's done.
Absolutely. He's revealed it. He said, now do it.
Hello. So he's already done a thing that we are stepping into. He's allowing us to be awakened to the reality of what he's done.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
makes sense to
Hmm.
you? So before I even got on the live tonight, I got a phone call regarding some things that I have done before, but I wanted to do on a larger scale for greater amounts of my of fiat currency. I use these words intentionally. And so I got the call, and I'm saying to myself, I said, okay, oh, wonderful. It's great to hear from you, but I only got a few seconds because I got a meeting I got to get to right now. I can't talk to you long. I would love to talk to you, but I can't talk to you for real because I really need to get to where I'm going. And I was talking about Sukkot, y'all. I told you the other day, some doors are opening in this season, and this was right before Sukkot was taking place, and I had to make a decision. You know what my decision was? I got to do Sukkot. First day of Sukkot, you don't work. And the 8th day, which is the last, the day after Sukkot is over, you don't work. But I told people, because they wanted me to come into these covenants, they wanted me to come into these spaces and, really merge to get some things done, which is going to be worth a whole lot of fiat currencies, right? And I told them, I said, I can't talk to you till after the 25th. Because I don't even want to get into the conversation right now. Because once we hit this conversation, we got to hit the ground running. But I got the call today. It ain't a Sabbath. I got the call today. And I told her, I said, listen, I can't talk to you right now. But we can talk after I'm done with, what I'm doing tonight. We can talk. Okay. And she was when I tell you she was so excited, she was amazed by what I had already sent in. She was amazed by what she saw. And when I had the brief conversation with her, she was like, oh my God, I just need to talk to you some more. So I'm okay. I understand and I respect that you have something to do, a meeting that you have to go to. So if you can't call me back tonight, can you call me back tomorrow? Absolutely. But you have to be so decided in your heart, because this takes maturity though. Because when you see these doors that the Father's getting ready to open for you begin to open, you got to make a decision. Whether what he's calling you to in the moment is more important than what they're calling you to. Some you've been waiting on, right? But it takes maturity. I told another person, I said, no, I got my feast days are, the feast of Yah are here. I gotta walk through these feast days. I gotta hear what the Father is saying. And they looked at me, they said, what? They said, are you Muslim? I said, absolutely not. They said, are you Christian? I said, certainly not. Now, I know that just blew the back of somebody's head off too. Absolutely not. I'm a son of the Most High Yah. I said, I follow biblical principles. I follow what he put in place for me. I am a child of the King. And they said, oh my God. Now they were Indian. Said, oh my God, if everybody operated this way, it would be no wars. It would be no. I said, absolutely. I understand what you're saying. But they had to respect the fact that I got something that's more important to me than this connection. Because what I'm about to do is what's forming this connection. This is the reason why the connection is happening. So I'm certainly not going to abandon my responsibility as a leader, my responsibility as a son of Yah, and go do this to collect some money. This can wait. This can wait. And understand, I got stuff that need to be paid right now. That's late right now. But my trust and my faith is in the God that I serve first. Because he told me if I seek his kingdom first, then all of the other things would be added. So am I concerned about those things? Absolutely not. I can't be, because he promised me something. And I'm expecting what he promised me to come into fruition, because he said it. He's not a liar. He is not a liar. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Now, I just want to add to the prophetic prophecy that you've laid out for everybody to hear, and I want to connect with that through even in the scripture, Leviticus chapter 25. I'm gonna read starting at verse 19, and it says, "Then the land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill and live there in safety." Verse 20. Yes. If you say, what shall we eat in the 7th year, if you do not plant your harvest or crop? Verse 21. He said, I will send you such a blessing in the 6th year that the land will yield enough for 3 years. Can we trust Yahweh for 3 years?
Oh my God.
In verse 22, and while you're planting during the 8th year, you
Come
will
on.
eat from the old crop, and to continue to eat from it until the harvest of the 9th year comes in.
Oh my God. Come on.
So when we come and where we at, Yahweh, trust me,
Ah,
trust me.
come on.
Be obedient, knowing that everything I got you for a specific time. And so when we see these things coming, we coming back to because what is being revealed, the Jubilee coming into the fullness. And so therefore, I have to know that there is an inheritance, that the enemy, everything, the law that Yahweh spoke about when the slaves leave and come back to their original place where they came from, they have to leave with something. But because they're so tight fisted, Yahweh said, I'm going to take it from you and give that wealth to the righteous.
Come on. Come on.
I'm going to give it. But Yahweh said, "Look, what am I going to eat? How am I going to survive? And what have you?" Yahweh said, just be obedient.
Come on.
Just do what I give you to do. Don't be afraid. This is divine. This is a divine experience. This is a divine occurrence that is happening right now. Yah says, I will take care of you. You
Oh,
do what I've given you to do, and this is going to take place because we are in the spiritual thing, but yet we still understand the memorial of things that he's given us to remember by. And as we're shifting into the eternal, or the as we come into the immortality of it, as we come into that, the Sabbath have no end. I am
oh
the
my God.
Sabbath.
We
I
become
am the
the Sabbath.
living, walking word.
Come
I
on.
am that. I am.
Come on.
I am water.
Yeah.
Everything about me, I'm water, earth, fire, and air, and
Me and
everything
all of that.
now. And so that I can use as a weapon. I can use water as a weapon. I can
Absolutely.
use the air as a weapon. I can use the earth as a weapon. I am fire, and I could
Come on.
call fire down just
Come on.
like Elijah did.
Come on now.
Fire,
Yes. Yes.
but I use it when y'all said you got the authority to use it. I'm not gonna do it. You're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But you're not of the flesh. You're not human anymore. You are immortal, and everything that you do is divine order. Everything you just
Divine
being.
order. That's
You
it.
don't have to worry about begging for something because everything is. You don't have to worry about land because the land is Yah, and whatever you at, that's the land.
Period.
Period.
That's what it
And
is.
so the earth is Yah. So now Yah say, "Come back. I want you to get my land back."
Come on.
And this is how it's going to be done because my enemy has occupied it long enough. So
Hey,
now we're getting it back.
it's time to get it back.
That's it. So therefore, I'm not sitting on my heels. We used to play the game. I declare war.
Come on now.
It's on.
It's on.
See, if you're human, if you're in the flesh, if you're mortal, when you declare war against the enemy, because now they smell your stench
Yeah.
because you are in the flesh.
Yeah.
But then when you are immortal,
You're
they
undetected.
can't smell. Listen, they can't even
Undetected.
come nigh. Listen, the arrows don't even come nigh thee.
Listen. The adversary don't even see us coming.
Nope.
He don't even see us
We
coming. He could even hear the conversation, but be confounded by the conversation because and this
come
is
on
why
now.
he wants us to be quiet because even the frequency of sons brings confusion in his camp.
Absolutely,
So when you
absolutely.
start talking, you like, oh, I better be quiet because the devil gonna hear me. If you don't get out of here with that superstitious,
Come on now.
nonsensical foolishness, when he hears the frequency of Yah, it begins to bring terror. You say, well, how can you say that? How do you know that? Okay, let's talk about the children of Israel once again. We're gonna talk about it because we got pictures. We listen, we got receipts, okay? We got
Uh-huh,
receipts.
uh.
Receipts, all right. They were told to walk around Jericho 7 days, were they not?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
7 days. On the seventh day, they were told to walk around 7 times, but they were also told to be quiet the whole time they walked. I
Shut up.
believe that the priests were to blow the trumpet, but the people were not to speak. So there was a blowing or a blast of trumpets by the priest, but the people weren't saying anything. But on the seventh time that they went around that wall, the priest blew. That was a declaration. Okay. It was the decree of heaven. But then the people began to shout. This is what they were commanded to do. And what happened? The frequency broke the barrier that was between them and the city. They stepped into the city to acquisition some stuff. But before they even stepped into the city, the enemy began to fold on itself. They began to kill each other. I'm telling you. Say something, brother. Just say something.
Listen.
I think the back of my head flew off for a second too.
Listen.
Just rehearse
sis, as you said, that they was instructed to say nothing. It's interesting because on the seventh day, 7 means complete and judgment.
Come on.
They have to come in alignment with the priest on the seventh day.
Come on. What's this, the seventh month? Is this the seventh month, sir?
Have to come in alignment.
Oh my God.
And so they did the Passover. Now they're in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They can't eat nothing. They can't eat nothing spiritually because they can't talk. They can't eat. They're not eating anything leavened. So no yeast in it. So now they have the inward have the expression, because now the priest is the covering. And the people now become the expression where spirit and truth come together. And when the people lift up their voices like a trumpet in Zion.
Oh my.
So the two. Come on. There has to be an alignment. There has to be an alignment of what's coming out. When I shout, my shout is righteous. Because when the priests, when they blow, they're righteous when they blow, and the frequency come out at the end of the shofar is righteous, and it disrupts the atmosphere over the enemy. It confuses the enemy. But now when you got spirit and truth, a double, come on now.
Oh my God.
Spirit and truth equals glory. And when glory shows up, it implodes the foundation, and the walls collapse. They didn't fall over the foundation. So when that happens, we destroy the foundation.
Hey, shut up.
Because if you don't destroy the foundation, they're going to build upon it again.
My God. My God.
Oh, my.
Okay, here go two verses. Just based off what we were talking about before. Listen, let me see. Okay, so we're talking about not being concerned, right? Because a lot of you have concerns about things. Now, I would have reason from a natural perspective to be very concerned, because I have some things that are very valuable and very important to me that are not in my space, where if I don't handle my business, somebody else gonna have it. But I'm not concerned because the Father gave it to me. And he put me in the position I'm in where I don't have access to it because I don't have space to have access to it. So I'm not worried about it being taken from me because it's mine. He gave it to me. So he's got to provide the means for me to make sure that it stays in my care, that it stays in my possession. So Matthew chapter 6:25 says, "Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat or drink, nor yet for the body what ye shall put on." You know, he said, listen, this is the kind of way that the Gentiles think about things. This is how they operate. They're real concerned about everything. What's the Gentiles? Gentiles are those that are not. He's not saying that those, he's not. This is the connotation of Gentile, not a chosen one. People that are operating on another premise, haven't come into the realization, they have not come into the awakening of the truth of who he is to begin to come in and desire to serve him. Because throughout the Old Testament, salvation was happening.
Absolutely.
Salvation is a New Testament principle. No, it has been shown to us over the history of mankind. But it says here, this is the stuff that the Gentiles seek after. They're concerned, they're real worried about every little thing. He said, you ain't proven that you're a son yet until you stop worrying about the stuff that I gave you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until you stop worrying about stuff that's already given.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I take care of the sparrows. Y'all see how the birds work? You see how they operate? They just flitting around, flying around. They don't land unless they see an opportunity. They see their food. They find their stuff while they're moving about, doing what they do, being who they are. He said, I feed the sparrows. Are ye not much more than many sparrows?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here comes another verse, Amos chapter 9. This goes with the prophetic word that I shared with you that brother expounded upon. And it says this. I'm reading it from the Berean Standard Bible. Behold, the days are coming, declares Yah, when the plowman will overtake the reaper and the treader of grapes, the sower of seed. The mountains will drip with sweet wine, which with all the hills will flow. Are you hearing what I'm saying? This is the space that we're entering into right now. This is a space that we're being awakened to, because, like I said, the Father already did this. This is already done. This is a prophetic word from the Old Testament, speaking of a time that we're living in right now, speaking of a time where Israel, spiritual Israel, is going to be restored. He went on to say, I'll restore my people Israel from captivity. And they saw it then, but we're going to see it even greater now. They will rebuild and inhabit the ruined cities. They will plant vineyards and drink their wine. They will make gardens and eat their fruit. This place that we're coming into, it is extreme access. It's a place of extreme access. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? That's it, Prophet Robin. 5785. We can ready to step into something so treacherous. This is about to be so treacherous. And I'm using the word treacherous because for many people, they're going to undergo a lot of judgment. I told you the first word of the Lord that he gave me the other day. I said, listen, this is the season of finality. I'm going to mute you, brother. It's doing the thing again. It's a season of finality. It's a season of permanence. So if you ain't on the right side of this thing, you about to go into a 10-year span of this place that you chose. You're going to live in it for 10 years. You're going to live in it. Because the reality is the Father is shouting from the mountaintops. He is hollering, and people are hearing all kinds of things, which we opened up with. But he is hollering from the mountaintops to come into divine relationship with him, to acknowledge the appointments that he establishes, the Sabbath and these appointments, these moeds, these appointed times of Yah, and to operate based on the prophetic conversation that he has within those spaces for us to move in to our divine positioning. Brother, say something. I'm trying to work this line out.
Hallelujah. I am full.
I'm full, brother.
I'm full.
I really am. I really am.
I'm over here in tears now.
I'm really full. I really am.
Oh my. Ooh. It's really something. And I'm just saying this: the house, the family of Yah. I was just thinking about even we was talking about when you was talking about worship and because there are folks, the Christians, they talk about intimacy, and that's, well, okay, well, I'll give you the intimacy, but it's much more in the house than just intimacy. You got a husband and a wife. That's where intimacy comes in, right there. You got father and mother and the children. There's no intimacy right there between a father. Because when you talk about a father and a mother, they dealing with children. There's a time and space when father, husband, and wife come together, and that's intimacy. But then when you leave the house lacking, your father and your mother, and you want to still be intimate, then there's the children that's being lacking. If you're being intimate, there's an area of intimacy before the children, and you're not being a father and a mother, then what are you teaching the children to be? What are you teaching the children to be? And so,
Oh my
so
God.
here's this place of intimacy. There's a time and place for intimacy where husband and wife come together to be together. But most of the time now, where we're at now, it's not about this husband and wife, but where are we at now? We're dealing with fathers and mothers, dealing with the sons and daughters. The father, the mother, a father's authority, mother's authority. What are we doing with the children? So here we are, the sons and daughters. Y'all raising up. So now it's about dealing. Yeah, we have our time and place of intimacy, but now Yahweh said, now it's time to deal. It's time to deal with the children. It's time to deal with what has taken place, what has been done with the
My
children,
God.
how the children supposed to be. How are we supposed, what is this house set up to be? I'm gonna get my house together. My house is a divine house. It got too much stank up in, oh, see,
Come on. Come on.
I gotta clean up my house.
Yes,
And,
God.
and he's raising the expression. What is the expression? The expression is mother authority. How do we comfort? How do we, what do we do? Because people need
How do
comforting
we
now.
nurture? How do we nurture? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got the instruction. He said, I've done what I've done. Now here's the expression. Now what? I've given you the authority to bring forth. You bring forth children. You nurture. And so we see all these things. And say, but yet I gotta raise up my sons and daughters to come back to immortality, to do this in a divine way of an expression. And so all these things are happening. I know I may be off the subject or anything, but I'm
No,
just full.
sir.
I'm just full, sis. That's where I'm at. I know where I'm at, but I'm just full. That's where that was just in me, and that regurgitated
Absolutely.
out of me.
No, that was so important to say because this is what the Father is requiring. Remember, I said that this royalty, this seat of royalty, has a responsibility with it. And understand, nobility raises its children to be nobility, not commoners. It raises its seed to not be common, but to be nobility. And this is what the Father's desire is, for us to awaken to this royalty that we are, to awaken to this nobility, and to begin to help our seed understand the nobility, the royalty, that they are not common. We're a royal priesthood, a set apart nation. And this is what Sukkot is all about. I'm about to turn y'all loose because I got so much more to say, but we're gonna save some of it for some for tomorrow because I really want to get into these triggers, these traumas. Father wants me to deal with these triggers and these traumas that have dealt with the sons of Yah. Because in this Sukkot, He's getting ready to allow us to cross over. Now, understand, you're gonna cross over. You're gonna get to the divine destined place. Now, what you do with it when you get there is going to determine what's really going on in you, and it's also going to determine the way that you're going to live for the next 10 years. Sukkot is a womb, y'all. It's a womb that's reached full gestation. That's what it is. It's a womb that is meant to bring something forth that fulfills the prophetic promise that was formed in you from the beginning. See, Sukkot is an usher. It ushers us or it guides us into the place of entry into the next seasons or the next promises. And I put the S on it because people think, that it's the divine destination is an ending place, but it's only the new beginning place. So Sukkot is an usher that guides us into that place of entry into the next seasons of promises. That's why I'm calling it a womb that has reached full gestation, because we're in the 7th month according to the Hebrew calendar. But the Hebrew calendar, the number 7 means completion. Something is fulfilled, something is finished. This promise that was formed within you from the beginning is the very song of Yah that He has been singing over you your entire existence. From the conception in the prophetic dimensions, He was singing this song concerning you. And this is the place that he's calling us to. It's the place that he's calling us to. And we've got to go. The question is, are you ready to go into this space, or do you want to maintain your flesh position, which is very limited? Because what is limited to is all your emotions, your will, you know what I'm saying? Your feelings, your thinker, your feeling, your doer, your soul. It's a soulish place. But when you begin to move in the realm of the spirit, you make the spirit the master of the thing. Then the soul has to come into alignment. Now your mind, your will, and your emotions are in alignment with the will of Yah for your life. It's not being used as a weapon against you, but it's being used for you. Listen, we love you. I'm going to come back tomorrow. We'll be back on at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Prepare yourself if you haven't already got the phone calls. I'm expecting calls that I got before to come back and say, listen, it's on and we're going to do double time and we're going to do this. We're going to do more of that. I'm looking for all of that in this season because this is the time that the Father has declared over us, and it's time to walk in it. Listen, I love you so much. The body is not a me thing. It's a we thing. It's not a me thing. It's a we thing. And I want you to be blessed, you and your family. Enjoy the blessing of Yah tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right? Peace to your house, y'all. Peace to your house. Shalom. Shalom. Please invite somebody tomorrow. Share this word with other people. Share this word. We love you.